Hey guys, my name is Pat, and today we are going to show you different ethical ways to think about medical technology in the healthcare field. First, we are going to talk about consequentialism ethics and the idea of utility. And second, we are going to talk about deontological ethics and the motivation behind actions. What are ethics? Ethics are a set of morally permissible standards of a group which each member of the group wants every other member to follow. This first idea we are going to look at is consequentialism ethics. The consequential ethical theory states that the consequence of an action defines the action as good or bad, and not the motivation behind the action. This is the basis for both rule utilitarianism and act utilitarianism. First, we must ask, what is rule utilitarianism? Rule utilitarianism is defined as a selected set of rules where each act is evaluated as to whether it conforms to them. The basis of this ethical approach seeks to simplify what is right and wrong by evaluating actions in accordance with the rules. One of the positives is that with rule utilitarianism, there are fewer calculations that measure the utility of an action. Additionally, experts are better able to understand the overall utility and can evaluate these rules. These rules can only be violated in the case where compelling evidence indicates that utility is increased by the violation. Under the lens of rule utilitarianism, we can look at the medical records and the ethical ways in which they are used. The government helped to guide these rules by establishing HIPAA in 1996. It was the first national set of rules and regulations for safeguarding data and sensitive information pertaining to patients. It was designed to set up a basic understanding of how medical personnel could handle this patient data. It covered information including the past, present, or future physical and mental health conditions. It also included payments past, present, or future. The rules that HIPAA established were tested in 2016 when a hacker by the name of the Dark Overlord infiltrated a hospital system in the US and stole millions of healthcare records. These records contained highly sensitive information about a person, including their social security number, full name, address, phone number, and more. These records have been found for sale online for $100,000. With the advancement of electronic medical records, we must reevaluate the rules and guidelines in order to increase the utility of their use. The next idea we are going to cover is act utilitarianism. Act utilitarianism is based on maximizing the total amount of happiness in the world. Each ethical decision is based on a calculation that is intended to measure the outcome of happiness. This is different from rule utilitarianism because each action is calculated rather than assigned a rule. The utilitarian calculus is the process of calculating which action will lead to the greatest happiness. This is a difficult thing to do, though, because some pleasures are different than others in quality. It is also hard to calculate whether a particular action will in fact make another person happy or not. The concept of time also makes this difficult. For example, right now an action might be perceived as good, but over time people may change their understanding of what is right and wrong. Thus, it could be bad in the future. In the medical field, pharmaceutical companies have used models to decide whether to release a medical technology such as a drug. They use mathematical models similar to the utilitarian calculus to analyze the demand before they bring a drug into the market. The following video shows that a bad model for calculating utility can have a negative effect, and in the case of the video, driving up the cost of drugs.
Prescription drugs, the only ovals that can bring people in the Seattle area joy anymore. To put it mildly, America takes a lot of these things.
70% of Americans take at least one prescription drug. More than half of us take two. Researchers say a record 4 billion prescriptions were written in 2011.
Total drug spending jumped last year by 3% to nearly $330 billion with a B.
Wow. That works out to $1,000 per person on prescription drugs. Kind of makes you feel like Walter White could have made more money cooking up rheumatoid arthritis medication. but should this really be that surprising? Because it's impossible to escape pharmaceutical ads. You can't turn on the TV without being subjected to an endless stream of sleep-inducing moths, old men getting boners while varnishing chairs, or this.
If your bladder is calling the shots, you may have a medical condition called overactive bladder, or OAB.
Again? But we just went.
OK. Listen, what that woman really needs is a pill to stop her hallucinating anthropomorphic bladders. You're locked inside a prison of your own mind, Susan! Be gone, demon bladder, be gone! But that's only one small part of pharmaceutical marketing. You see, drugs aren't like most other products because you need someone's permission to buy them, which is why all drug ads end with the same catchy phrase.
Ask your doctor if Lunesta is right for you.
Ask your doctor about Myrbetriq.
Ask your doctor.
Ask your doctor.
Ask your doctor.
Ask your doctor. 3 words you're either hearing in a commercial or saying to your co-worker when he asks you if the mole on his back looks cancerous. I don't know, Gene. Ask your doctor. All I said was, how was your weekend? It's probably fine. Drug companies know that doctors hold all the real power in the prescription drug business, which is why, while they spend nearly $4 billion a year marketing directly to us, they spend an estimated $24 billion a year marketing directly to doctors.
This video points out how expensive drugs can be due to marketing costs. These drugs were first designed to help people, but by the time they reach the market, they often cost too much to afford. If many people cannot afford a drug, then producing these drugs has no utility. This just goes to show that the utilitarian calculus can be elusive and hard to understand, even though there was a calculated plan behind producing this technology. The third idea is a little bit different from the first 2 that we covered because in this case it is a deontological ethic, which is an ethical theory that focuses on the rights, duties, obligations, and rules. One of the founders of modern philosophy, Immanuel Kant, came up with the idea that good can only come from something that is intrinsically good. Thus, for an action to be considered good, it must come from goodwill. A good will is defined as a will of a person to act solely according to a code of morality which is based on reason. Many times, doctors will have to make decisions based on professional ethics and, in part, based on goodwill. The following video shows how technology for diagnosing patients can make this difficult.
You know, already for some specialty areas in medicine, doctors like me are regularly overruled by computers. In intensive care, if you were taken or a member of your family into an intensive care unit, let's say with severe burns, so much so that you only have a 20% chance of surviving, you know something? The computer algorithms that have been developed are so powerful that they are more effective, more accurate, more of the time than any physician is likely to be. Which means that if I come to my own therapeutic decision, and it's a different decision than the computer, and I follow it, and my patient unfortunately dies, you know what? I will be up before the judges, I will be sued in a court of law, and the first thing the relatives will ask me is, Dr. Dixon, did you consult your computer? And I say, yes, I did. Did you follow the instructions on the computer? No, I did not. Or do you not think that that might have contributed to the death of your patient? And where's my defense? So you can see that in future, it's going to become increasingly difficult to resist the onslaught of digital diagnosis.
In this video, when the doctor uses his own judgment, even when there's goodwill, he can still be held liable. With emerging technology for diagnosis, we must ask what a doctor must do in order to make a diagnosis. Should it be based on a computer, the doctor, or a combination of the 2? In conclusion, you were able to see how the application of different ethics applied to distributing candy, but also applied to medical technology and how we approach it today. Overall, we hope you were able to learn something new and think about the advancement of medical technology in different ethical ways.